To begin with the welcome note, I would like to invite Mr. Raza Abbas, Regional Director of the City School Southern Region, to stage.
Good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome and assalamu alaikum. It's both honor and a privilege to welcome you all here at the Early Years Summit, a gathering dedicated to shaping the future of early childhood education and development. And I strongly believe the early years are the foundation of lifetime, where every experience contributes to the growth of mind, body, and spirit of an individual. The summit serves as a testament to the importance of early years, a critical period that not only shapes the individual lives, but also the fabric of our society. Today we are privileged to have the leadership, parents, educators, policymakers, and advocates to share the insight and foster collaboration and explore innovative approaches that nurtures the potential of our youngest learners. The theme of the summit is the winds of change that says it all.
Now it's time to dive into a topic that holds the key of shaping the future of early childhood education. It is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Shelina Bahmani.
Thank you everyone for this amazing participation and welcome. I'm known to give very non-conventional, or you can say unconventional keynote speeches. So it's not just me who's going to speak, but I'll also engage you. But before we could get started, you have had my long, boring introduction, but I'd like something very interesting from your side. So it's just going to be a cumulative, like in Urdu we say Jamaati introductions, right? So on the extreme right of mine and the extreme left, so let's start from the extreme right of mine, you're Chiki. What you are this row? Chiki. Can you say it aloud? Can you hear me at the back? But I cannot hear you. Say aloud, shout aloud, Chiki. Chiki. Just this one row, Chiki. Chiki. Direction. I can't hear your claps. My name is Lalla. But Chiki Chachas, you will have to up your game a bit. So let's come to the topic, why early years? So early years, there's a very good saying that what happens in the first 5 years of life sets the trajectory for the next 80 years of life, right? It's so foundational that neurosciences says that 90% of the adult brain developments happen during the early years of life. It sets the foundation of your entire lifespan trajectory. It is not just limited to first 5 years, but it has a transgenerational impact. So when we say what is transgenerational, what do we mean by that? Come on, I need to hear from you. One generation after the other generation after the other. So what you do in the earliest years of life has an impact on different generations of yours. And that is why we need to consider that the early years is our future. Which generation do we have right now? Who are we? Some baby boomers, but some millennials, some Gen Z, and who are we teaching? Gen Alpha. And interestingly, we have this new generation called Gen Beta. And then we have a lot of challenges, if you see, towards this thing to prepare our generations for future. As per World Economic Forum, 75% of the jobs in future market will entail digital skills. It will entail AI-driven world. These kids of ours, they are living in hyper-connected world. When we say hyper-connected, what does that mean? They are connected throughout. They are AI-driven generations. They are born in and with technology. So that is something that we really need to consider. And then there is a framework called 21st century. So what are those C's of 21st century? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. I'm a speaker. I can afford to forget. So come on, remind me. Communication, collaboration, excellent. Creativity, critical thinking, excellent. And then these four have recently been added to the cadre, which is what? Care, connection, community, and culture. We'll come back to this. But let's just see that what are the challenges and how do we see future for our young children, which is very important and critical to reflect. A, we need to join hands with the technology, especially digital technology. Previously, we used to say, let's join hands with us reading a newspaper to our young ones, us getting hands on some magazines, but right now is the time for digital technology. The second very interesting thing is we are living in 21st century right now. But Gen Beta, after 80 years, when they will become grandparents and parents, they will have to prepare generation for the 22nd century. Imagine the shocks we get when we were caregivers, when 21st century took over. I'm sure most of us were young, so we are products of 21st century. But our future generation will have to step into 22nd generation, which is 22nd century. And as per sciences, there is an increase in mental health problems in young children. And our children who will be digital nomads, they will have to undergo a lot of mental health issues. So mental health is also one of the threats. Then climate and global citizenship. My God, the world we are living in, children are exposed to wars. They are exposed to inequities. They are exposed to so many threats that are happening, so many economic conditions that are changing. And it's very important to understand that even the jobs are changing. Most of us are actually now thinking of having our side hustles. So we have to have another threat considered, that there is entrepreneurship as well that we need to teach to our kids. Because it's a threat, socioeconomic condition is a threat to all of us. The economy changes. My God, how many of us actually have installed Binance in our mobile apps? Raise your hands. Do you even know what Binance is? It deals with the cryptocurrency, right? We don't need to do this, but we need to understand what it is all about, because for our kids, the economy will not be a hard currency or plastic papers. It's going to be digital economy. So we need to get our hands onto it. This is a major global threat as well. The global conditions we just spoke about, and metaverse. What is metaverse? Again, as a speaker, I can afford to forget things. What is a metaverse? Come on, early years teachers, parents. Yeah, it's a kind of a universe that you develop. It's a kind of reality that you get into. It's an adjunct reality that we are living in, our kids are living in. They have a space, they have a platform, and they call it metaverse. So we as caregivers, we need to also understand the threats being posed by metaverse, and these are all threats of today, which our kids will have to live for tomorrow. And that is where we have to play a role to understand these. I'll urge all of you to take a picture of this, go home and study each and every threat in detail. And we need to consider, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we are robbing their tomorrow. Now coming back to those C's, we all have a lot of activities that we focus on establishing critical thinking. So how do we do that as teachers and caregivers? How do we promote critical thinking? By, first and foremost thing, igniting creativity, critical thinking in young children start with a question. Do not stop your kids to ask questions. When I was a teacher, I would take an object or a phenomenon in my class and ask every child to ask questions around it. I don't need to know the answers of everything. I can always say that, okay, let's explore. We'll explore this as a classroom. But we need to engage children in asking questions every single day. You need to bring an object in the classroom. You need to bring a phenomenon in the classroom. Ask questions. Ignite critical thinking. You know, as nations, we are not thinkers. We don't ask questions. We pass judgments. This is what we need to break the cycle here. Communication. So very important. How many languages are you teaching in your school? How many? 2? Great. How many of your parents? Can you raise your hands? How many languages are you teaching to your kids at home?
4.
Up to 3 to 4. Excellent. If you're doing that, you're really giving a great gift to your kids. And I will also, during the tea time, test a few parents if you also know 3 languages or not. It's good to raise hands, but it's hard to do that. I can speak 3, so you can take my test too. But make sure every child who reaches age 8 should have exposure to at least 3 to 4 languages. Young children can learn up to 7 languages. So at least we can give them a gift by teaching them 3 languages. Communication is also not just about languages. It's also about how we communicate. And that is what we need to teach our children as well. A lot of compassionate talk in the classrooms as well. Then collaboration. I go to a lot of schools, they call me for different visits, and I see children are just sitting, They're sitting, but they're not talking, they're not collaborating. They are egocentric, we all know. They like to have their own space and own things. But as teachers and caregivers, we need to ensure that children are working in groups. It's the time of collaboration. It's the time of having a collaborative assessment as well. Go back to your classroom, check your report cards and checklists and see if you have a collaboration as a competency in your report cards and your assessment or your development assessment cards. Inculcate creativity. How many of us, and be very honest, take out a printout and give our children to color those handouts? Be honest, raise your hands. Good. Try not to draw boundaries for young children. Have open creative play. Let the cow be pink and apple be black. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. You need to focus on competency rather than restricting children, especially when we are teaching creativity. Care is very important. We must need to have a pet or need to have like a charity box in our houses every single day, not just in Ramzan. So try to have this donation drive to promote care in young children every single day and try to build that connections. Parents, you can have a WhatsApp group of young children and you can have once a week that sort of connection building activity. Teachers can connect with other schools in the different cities or schools outside of the country and have that virtual connections, which I'm sure you have. But the schools who are not doing this must have global connections kind of activity in your schools as well. And we need to also teach them community citizenship. Children see us as mirrors. We are their mirror. If we are, sort of throwing a garbage outside, if we are not taking care of the environment, if we are breaking the rules in the traffic, children are observing it. And what sort of a citizenship, what sort of a community building are we teaching them? If we are not even as little as you asking for a bill or a check in a restaurant teaches children how to talk about tax. And you can explain them how old a child should be to talk about tax, let's say. 4-year. You can teach taxation to a 4-year kid and it's developmentally appropriate. So we need to promote that sort of a community citizenship as well and culture. We really need to see how we are letting our children understand culture, pluralism, diversity. And this will only happen if us as caregivers and teachers have this sort of sensitivity for our culture as well. So try to promote the different C's. And now I'll just come back to this very important thing is that as community of educators, as community of care providers and caregivers, we need to review, renew, and revive education. We need to have technology advancements and integration. Evidence-based. When we say evidence-based, what does that mean? You copying the lesson plan from a set of curriculum? Is this evidence-based? Then what is evidence-based? It's data-driven. We need to understand what are the developmental characteristics of young children and plan accordingly instead of just doing a copy-pasting kind of a thing. Have integration of socio-emotional learning in the classroom. I just spoke about all of this in the last slide as well, and due to time, I'll just move to the other slide as well. This is something, I would really like to encourage the school leaders sitting here, is to redesign early childhood care and education. Do not have subjects. Let's not have English, numeracy, social sciences and all of it. Let's have these themes. They are so significant. What is well-being? Mental well-being, physical well-being, social well-being. Let's have well-being designed in our part of curriculum as well. Play. Play is oxygen in childhood. And what do we do without oxygen? We die. There is a death in every kid who is not playing that we cannot see. And I'm sure the other speakers will be focusing on play a lot more than I'm doing right now. So play is the oxygen in early years education and early years parenting as well. Technology and robotics. How many of you have B-bots in your cell phone right now? I have it. You can check mine. Please install B-bots. Invest in robotics. Teach it to your kids. Every single school should have a B-bot, and young children can learn robotics in that B-bots. Economics. Now this seems like, okay, how do we teach a 3-year-old economics? We can do that. Budgeting, divisions, planning finances, planning ED के 500 रुपए से क्या करना है is economics. We're teaching it. We can teach it to young children. Every single school, you have a graduate of 10-year-old, when the children hit 10-year-old, ensure they have a side hustle. Every 10-year-old in lower middle income countries like ours need to have their own business. And this can be initiated when? When kids are as young as 5 years old. Dedicate once a month, one Sunday, bake some cookies, get them to stand somewhere and sell it. Develop that business sense in young children. It's very, very important for the times to come. Climate. Oh my God. Switching lights on time, not wasting water. This is so significant in early years education. Culture, we just spoke about it. Arts, storytelling. Every single day, one child aged 3 should at least have 5 stories a day. Count it. If you're not doing it, make sure you're doing it. You can have one story just randomly read to the child when you're feeding the child. It's much better than showing them the gadgets, So please ensure that we are reading stories. Teachers should inculcate Homo sapiens, sapiens, make it a child version of it and do a storytelling. Every early years teachers should read these 2 books and ensure that the child version of it is also read to young children as well. It's so significant to teach them about culture, about human extension. It's so very important. Languages, we just spoke about social innovation. I go to a lot of fairs and kids are selling jewelries. Do you think it's social innovation? Yes or no? Yes, it's very good for young children, but is it social innovation? Social innovation, social entrepreneurship is when we are looking at problems of Pakistan and trying to think of business ideas around it. And schools should promote it. Once every month you should have an innovation camp where kids are bringing one idea, and that idea could still be as little as a child showing a paper saying it's a robot that will take us to moon. Clap for that child. That's creativity. At least the child is thinking what we are thinking right now, कि lunch कब मिलेगा, है ना? So appreciate that creativity, right? And then communities and compassion. I cannot talk more about it. We've just spoken to a lot in the previous slides as well. So redesign teaching and parenting. How? Track development, do not track completion of curriculum. I mean, why? Why my kid needs to write 3 lines to prove to a parent who is coming with a complaint? A developmental trajectory is, can child use 3 fingers independently? That's there. That's the developmental competency. How many of you are actually writing right now? Very few. See? We don't need to really let our kid prove to us that he or she can write 3 lines using a paper pencil. So please focus more on development than on curriculum completion. Teachers to get parents on board and parents to be on board. When I was a teacher, the parents would come to me and ask, "Oh, what is the progress, Miss Shalina? Oh, Miss Shalina, what have you done?" But when I become a kind of caregiver to someone, I would go to the teacher and ask, "How can I help you as a parent? How can I contribute to what you're doing to my young child?" Us as parents, we become like a kind of defense mechanism. We go with an intent that, okay, I'm going to ask about the progress and I'm going to hold school accountable. Have you ever gone to the school, your first sentence should be, "How can I help? Is there any way I can make learning better for my kid?" That is what we need to do as parents. Focus on teaching at least 3 languages. We spoke about it. Teach them life skills. Now, what are life skills? Cooking, sweeping, changing car tires, driving, these are all life skills. And we need to teach age-appropriate life skills to young children. Like as little as, maybe filling 2 glasses of water. So maybe if you have a boy child, and if the boy child has an elder sister, when she's coming back from the college, the boy child could actually take a glass to her and offer it. This is teaching a very young adult men to take responsibilities. Letting your 7-year-old girl daughter going out and washing car with you. That is teaching them that gender has no boundaries. So teach them life skills. You see, these are called life skills. These are not called gender skills. So that is why we need to be really cognizant of this thing. Every single day storytelling, like I just mentioned, make your own online academy. This request is from the city school. Like we have Khan Academy, you have such a big setup, you need to also offer some city school academy as well, and maybe southern region with this summit can start off with this thing. Teach them emergency health. What is a number of fire brigade? Am I going deaf or nobody speaking? What is the number of ambulance? What is the number of police? It's easy. 15. If we don't know, how are we going to teach our young kids? We need to teach them emergency health. A 4-year-old in US has saved the younger sister by giving CPR. How many of us actually know CPR right now? So we need to be really cognizant of that as well. Get them to launch their business. Play, play, and play. You get a book, you try to teach anything, kids will not learn. You play with them, they learn. Trust me, I have had kids of all ages, and play is the only strategy. Parents come to us and ask us, how are you so friendly with the kids? Because we are just playing. And with play, you can accomplish so much. And health and mindfulness. Parents to do ABC yoga every single day at their homes, whereas teachers can do dinosaur breathing after every 3 hours in the classroom. Have water breaks in the classroom. So do not ignore health as well. And this one last thing, Noam Chomsky has very nicely said, although I'm not a big fan, but I still like what he has just said. If you're teaching today what you were teaching 5 years ago, either the field is dead or you are. So please, with this thing, thank you so much. See at the background, I am to serve, I am to lead, I am to strive. These are all characteristics we need to inculcate in our young ones.
Please join me in welcoming a talented young learner from the City School Hadid campus.
Today my topic is about pet animals. Every day and every night, with my pets by my side, they are my best friends. Some people have birds, some can say words. They tweet and they sing, they flap their wings. Some people have birds every day and every night, with my pets by my side. They are my best friends. Some people have fish. Fish like to run around in a dish. It's slimy to touch, but beautiful to watch. Some people have fish every day and every night, with my pets by my side. They are my best friends. Some people have cats. Cats like to scratch. They meow and they purr. They clean their fur. Some people have cats every day and every night, with my pets by my side. They are my best friends. Some people have dogs. Dogs like to go for a walk. They bark, woof, woof, and they howl. Some people have dogs every day and every night, with my pets by my side. They are my best friends. Some people have rabbits. Rabbits like to eat carrots. Their ears are long and fluffy. Their tails are short and puffy. The moral of my story is love your pets because they're the best. Give them water and food and treats, and then they will be good and play with them. Thank you.
Today we are honored to have a very special guest to shed light on this essential topic, Sarvat Gilani.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for the lovely introduction. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, to be part of a space where we have all the critical people present at the same time. Teachers, parents, and students. It's very important to understand how structure and free play. So as you can see, multitasking is not my.
मैंने अपना सफ़र एक टीचर के हैसियत से शुरू करा था और फिर स्कूल की हेड प्रिंसिपल और अब मैं रीजनल ऑफिस में बेस्ड हूँ। सो हमेशा से छोटे बच्चों से लेके बड़े बच्चों तक के लिए तालीम बहुत पैशन है। आज समिट के इनेकाद का मकसद सिटी स्कूल में की तरफ से माशरे में तालीमी मैदान में अपना किरदार मज़ीद मुस्तहकम करना है। हम लोगों का आज बिलखुसूस फोकस छोटे बच्चों की तालीम है, जिसमें मुस्तक़बिल के चैलेंजेस आर्ट के हवाले से, तालीम के हवाले से, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी के हवाले से, रोबोटिक्स के हवाले से मज़ीद आगाही हासिल करना और इन सारे नए जो ये तरक्की हमारे एजुकेशनल फील्ड में हो रही है उसको क्लास में बच्चों के साथ लेकर चलना है ताकि हमारे बच्चे कल के माशरे में अपना किरदार भरपूर तरीके से अदा कर सकें।
आई एम शहजाद खान, आई एम द चीफ ऑपरेटिंग ऑफिसर फॉर द सिटी स्कूल ग्रुप। ये जो हमने कॉन्फ्रेंस आज की है, इट्स अ सीरीज़ ऑफ कॉन्फ्रेंसेस जो कि हम हर रीजन में करते हैं। हमारे 3 मेजर रीजन्स हैं, कराची, लाहौर, इस्लामाबाद। ये सिलसिला हमने काफ़ी अर्से से शुरू हुआ है। हमारी जो फाउंडर हैं जिन्होंने ये सिटी स्कूल बेसिकली फाउंडर्स हैं, डॉक्टर फरजाना, उन्होंने शी इनिशिएटेड दिस अर्ली ईयर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस बिकॉज अर्ली ईयर्स जो बच्चे हैं जो कि 5 साल तक के हैं, 8 साल तक के हैं, उनकी फाउंडेशन बनाना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है अलॉन्ग विद द पेरेंट्स। एंड इट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वी put them on the right track। जो फाउंडेशन हम बनाएंगे वो उसी पे चलेंगे। They are the future leaders, they are the ones who have to run this country and take care of it। So we learn from external speakers, from their experiences, from their research, and we basically invite our own school leaders, school teachers to learn from there and then go and practice those things in our school system। So this is all about it। This is one of the conferences in the series every year. It's our annual function or annual event to learn and then broadcast it to the students.
And at the risk of being repetitive, let us begin, because in early childhood education, repetition is so very important. 90% of a child's brain is developed before the age of 5. Yes, it is doubling, and it is a period of rapid growth and the ability of cognitive behaviors. Let's take a moment and think about how a child learns language. A small child dependent on others for almost everything, from feeding, bathing, sleeping. This small child possesses a great and magical power. A child before the age of 5 can learn up to 6 languages, speak fluently and like a native. They have the perfect enunciation, accent, and pronunciation. You and I, and teenagers, we do not possess this magical power anymore. The sensitive period for this has gone. So now I'm sure we all agree how important early years is for the development of human beings. So I'm going to introduce myself again. I'm Zara, and I've been a Montessori teacher for the last 15 years and in the early childhood development sector. And my role model and guide to helping and supporting young children was a remarkable woman called Maria Montessori. And she taught me something that I'm going to share with you. She knew the powers that young children possess. She called it the absorbent mind. So can we all just take a moment and think about the process of absorption? Take a sponge. If you put a sponge in dirty water, it'll absorb dirty water. If you put a sponge in clean water, it'll absorb clean water. And well, if you put it in no water at all, it won't be able to serve its purpose. So what does this mean for us as leaders in the early years? It means we must maintain what our children absorb. We must be the guardians of their exposure, and we must preserve the absorbent mind. Maria Montessori said, "Of all things, love is most potent." And this resonates deeply with leadership, because love is not passive, it's active, it's intentional, and often difficult. As leaders, we are called to lead with love even in the face of challenges. As a leader, it is so important to have a role model, a mentor, someone who inspires greatness within you, someone you want to be like, someone whose passion and sincerity is so evident. So, along with Montessori's teachings, I was blessed to learn from very many, and they taught me what leading is made of. As a leader, you cannot compromise. As a leader in the early years, especially, you cannot compromise on your values. So think about what your values are and let them guide you. Love, respect, excellence. These are my values. And let's remember that a society can truly be judged by the way they treat their children. So, how do we translate love and excellence and respect into our setting? How can we all become leaders of change?
Observe and develop critical skills through play and discovery. At the City School, we are proud to embrace outdoor learning as a vital part of our early years curriculum. To showcase this, the City School Johar Campus 1 has prepared a special video demonstrating how children engage with the outdoors in meaningful ways. Let's watch this inspiring glimpse into nature-based learning in action.
Welcome to the City School's outdoor classroom. Curiosity blooms outdoors. Students learn about ecosystems, biodiversity, and the beauty of nature. Outdoor activities enhance motor skills, physical fitness, and build resilience. Students express themselves through art inspired by the outdoors.